Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. In this tutorial series, we are creating this full screen nav menu using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So this is how it works. If I click on this menu icon, we have the menu displayed over here, and we also have the animation for all the elements. And we also have this hover animation. If we hover over these menu items, we have it displayed over here in the background. And if I click on this close icon, the animation gets reversed and we have the default page displayed over here. Now in the previous video, we created the design using HTML and CSS, so we don't have any hover animation or any reveal animation at the moment. So we will do that in this video. Let's get started. Now the first thing we will do is we will add the hover animation. So if I go back to our original design, here we can see when we hover over these menu items, we have the same text displayed in the background, and we also have a little bit of animation. So for that we will use data attributes in HTML. So let's go back to our source code and let's go to the HTML file, and here for each of these anchor tags, let's also add data attributes. So let's tap data, and here after the hyphen you can name it anything you want. So I'll just name it menu, and we will set it equal to home. So this is the first data attribute. So we need to add data attributes for all these menu items. So let's type data menu equals, and here we need to type about, and then for the third one let's type data menu equals courses, and then for the last one let's type data menu equals contact. Right now let's go to our CSS, and we need to access these data attributes in our CSS. So here we can see this is the selector for the anchor tag. Now we're going to use after selector for displaying the data attributes. So let's type menu container menu items a : after, and using after selector you can add additional information to your content. So we need to type content, and for example if I just type 1 2 3, and if I go back to our design, here we can see after the menu items we have 1 2 3 displayed over here. Now instead of 1 2 3 we need to display the data attribute. So let's go back, and here we can add a keyword called attr for attribute, and here we can just add the name of the data attribute. So we have the name as data-menu. So let's type data-menu, and now we can see that the data attribute value is displayed over here in the after selector. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to display it behind this text, and we need to increase the font size, and we need to add some more styles. So let's go back and let's set the position to fixed, and we will set the left position to 50% and the top position to 50%. And now we can see that these data attributes start from the center. So we also need to type transform translate, and we need to type -50% for the x and y axis, and now it is exactly in the center. Right now let's set the font size to 200 pixels, and we'll set the font weight to 900, and let's set the opacity to 0.1, and we'll also set the text transform to uppercase. And now let's remove the pointer events from the data attributes. So if I hover over this, we can click on this link. So let's go back and let's set the pointer events to none. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to display these data attributes only when we hover over these menu icons. So by default we will set the opacity to 0, and we'll also set the transform translate x value to -100 pixels. So let's type calc -50% -100 pixels, and let's add a hover effect. So let's type menu container menu items a : hover : after, and let's set the opacity to 0.1, and we'll set the transform translate to the default value. So let's type -50% and -50%, and we'll also add a smooth animation. So let's type transition, and we'll set all to 500 milliseconds ease. Right now let's go back to our design, and now if you hover over this we can see that the text is displayed at the background. So it is working all right. Right now let's add the entrance animation for all these elements. So if I click on this menu icon, we want to display all these animations. So we will use a library called GSAP for that. So let's get the CDN of GSAP. So you can just search for GSAP CDN and you'll find this website cdnjs.com. And let's copy this link of GSAP min.js. And let's go back to our HTML. And I'll just paste it over here just before the script tag. Right now the next thing we will do is we'll just set the default styles of this nav menu. So by default we don't want to display any of the elements over here. So let's go back to our CSS. Now here the first thing we will do is we will add some transform translate X for this logo and this close icon. So if I click on this menu icon, we can see that the close icon comes in from the right side and the logo comes in from the left side. So by default we need to set the transform translate X to some value. So let's target the logo, and here is the selector for the logo. So here I'll just type transform translate X and let's set it to negative 30 pixels. And here's the selector for the close icon. So let's type transform translate X 30 pixels. Now for all the anchor tags we need to add a transform translate Y. So if you go back to the original design, here we can see that these menu items come down from the top. So let's target the anchor tags, and here I'll just type transform translate Y and let's set it to negative 20 pixels. And we also need to set the opacity to 0. Right now for the menu container we need to set the height to 0. So here we can see at the beginning we have a height of 0 for the menu container. So let's go back and let's target the menu container, and here for the menu container let's set the height to 0, and we'll also set the overflow to hidden. Now for the logo and the close icon also we will add an opacity of 0. So let's add opacity of 0 over here as well. Right now let's start with the GSAP animation. So let's go to our main.js file, and first of all let's create a timeline. So let's create a timeline with the name of TL, and we need to type gsap.timeline. Now let's add the animations over here. So let's type TL.to, and here for the first argument we need to type the selector of the element. So first of all let's select the menu container. So let's type dot menu container, and then we need to add an object for all the animations. So let's type height and let's set it to 100 viewport height. Right now let's save this, and now if we refresh this page we have this animation. Right now let's add the animation for the logo. So let's type dot to, and here also we need to add the selector. So if you go back to the HTML file, here we can see for the logo we have a division with the class of logo inside menu container. So let's type dot menu container logo, and here we need to set the opacity to 1 and also the X value to 0, because here we can see we have set the transform translate X to negative 30 pixels. So here we are resetting it. Right now if you go back and refresh this page, here we can see that both the animations are running alright. Right now let's add the animation for the close icon. So let's type dot to, and let's add the selector for the close icon. So let's type menu container close icon svg, and here also we need to set the opacity to 1 and X to 0. Now if you go back to our design and if I refresh this page, here we can see that the animation is working, but we need to bring this close icon a little bit earlier than it is right now. So for that we need to add one more value over here. So I'll just type comma after this curly braces, and here we need to type minus equals, and we need to type a number. So I'll just type 0.5. Right now let's refresh this page, and we can see that it looks alright. You can change these values and experiment with the animation. Right now let's move on to the next one, which is the anchor tags. So let's type dot to, And let's tap menu container, A for the anchor tags. And for the anchor tags, we need to set the Y value to 0. And we also need to set the opacity to 1. And we'll set the duration to 1.2 seconds. And we'll also add an ease. And let's set the ease to power2 dot ease out. And we want to display this also a little earlier. So here I'll just type minus equals. And let's type 0.4. Let's see how it looks. And we can see that the animations are working alright. But we need to display each of these menu items separately. So here we can see if I click on this menu icon, we have each of these menu items displayed after a certain delay. So for that, let's go back to our JavaScript. And here we need to add one more value, which is stagger. And we can add a value over here. So I'll just tap 0.2. And now let's go back and let's refresh this page. And we can see that the animations are working alright. Now the last thing we need to do is we need to display these animations only when we click on the menu icon. And when we click on the close icon, we need to reverse this animation. So let's go back. And here for the timeline, we will add some options. So we'll add an option called post. And let's set it to true. So by default, the animation will not run. So now if we go back to our website, here we can see that the animation is not running. Now we need to start the animation when we click on this menu icon. So let's go back to our JavaScript and let's target the menu icon. So let's tap const menu icon equals document.querySelector. And let's go back to our HTML, and we have given it a class of menu icon. So it is inside menu icon container. So let's type menu icon container, menu icon. And let's also reference the close icon. So let's tap close icon equals document.querySelector, menu container, close icon. Right now let's add an event listener to this menu icon. So let's tap menu icon dot add event listener, and let's listen for the click event. And here let's create an arrow function. Now here we need to start the animation. So let's tap TL, which is the timeline dot restart. And now let's click on this menu icon. And we can see that the animation is working alright. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to reverse this animation when we click on this close icon. So let's add an event listener for that as well. So let's tap close icon dot add event listener, and let's listen for the click event, and let's create an arrow function. And here we need to type TL dot reverse. And now let's go back and let's click on this menu icon. And we have the animation running. And if I click on this close icon, the animation is reversed. But for the reverse animation, we need to increase the speed. So right now it is too slow. So let's go back. And here we need to type dot time scale. And we need to add a number over here. So let's type 4. So it will be scaled 4 times. And now let's go back and let's click on this menu icon. And now let's click on this close icon, and we have the fast animation for the close icon. But now the problem is that when we click on this menu icon, we have the fast animation. So for that, let's go back to our JavaScript, and here we need to reset the time scale. So let's type time scale and let's set it to 1. And now let's go back and click on this menu icon. And now if we click on this close icon, we have the fast animation. And if I click on this menu icon once again, we have the animation running in the normal speed. So that's basically how you can create a full screen menu animation using HTML, CSS, and GSAP. Alright, so that's it for this video. I will leave the link of the source code in the description of this video. And if you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.